It's very strange. It's a very unnatural thing. I think that people, by nature, crave recognition, but they also need anonymity. I think that human beings in general, we do better when we have anonymity because it's unnatural to be chased around like that. But yet we all want to accomplish things where we experience something where we can leave our mark.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back. I have an update that's been causing a lot of frustration and confusion. Yesterday, Justin Belden's legal team replied to a request made by Blake Lively. She wants her deposition to take place at her own lawyer's office. This has sparked a lot of backlash online. Many people feel like she always manages to get her way, especially when she puts pressure on the other side or makes them look bad. Seems like if she pushes hard enough, she ends up getting favorable outcomes in court. To be fair, her legal team is skilled at building a strong case. They've done a great job presenting a version of events that casts her in a good light. They've also managed to influence the judge's opinion of Brian Friedman, who is Justin Belden's attorney. This whole legal situation is playing out. In New York's federal court, which operates under the Second Circuit, it's a tight-knit legal community where attorneys and judges often know each other. Brian, on the other hand, is based in California. Even though he has an office in New York, his approach is different from how lawyers in New York usually work. He's basically an outsider trying to go up against two giant law firms, Mannett, Phelps and Phillips, and Wilkie, Farr and Gallagher. These are billion-dollar firms with over 1,000 lawyers each. They have access to some of the most powerful people in the country. The judge handling the case. Judge Lyman comes from a background of influence and wealth. His father was a well-known lawyer in New York because of his privileged upbringing. He likely sees legal threats and power moves as normal, something many of us from average backgrounds wouldn't consider fair or ethical. There's a sense that he relates more to someone like Blake, which might explain why she's been receiving favorable rulings lately. It feels like he's more understanding of her position than the people she's targeting. I'm starting to feel like there's some bias. It makes me uneasy because she has also subpoenaed my bank records from Google. She isn't only doing this to me. 16 other creators are involved. I recently found out about a small creator named Kenz, who runs a TikTok and a very tiny YouTube channel. She only has 38 subscribers and just over 2,000 views. Despite being a domestic violence survivor and someone using her voice to speak out, Blake has targeted her too. Kenz told me she got involved because she didn't agree with how Blake promoted the movie It Ends With Us, which she felt downplayed the realities of abuse. I also connected with other creators who've been subpoenaed: Ashley, Kirst, Andy, Lauren, and Shasti. Some haven't spoken out like Candace, but they've been targeted too. One creator, Perez, says he hasn't received a subpoena from Google. However, Google confirmed the subpoenas are legitimate and said they might release documents. That shocked me because social media platforms usually resist handing over user data, citing privacy laws like the Stored Communications Act. It's strange that they may cooperate this time. Interestingly, Blake isn't asking for chat logs or messages. She's only asking for account details. She told the court she's already sent out 60 subpoenas and wants the discovery process extended until the end of September to wait for more responses. It sounds like once she gets those documents, she plans to go after even more people. This doesn't feel like a search for justice. It feels more like a way to scare and silence critics, even those who barely have a presence online. It's hard to believe someone would go after creators who aren't even monetized. Kenz, for example, isn't part of the YouTube Partner Program and hasn't earned a single cent. This seems like a calculated move to intimidate anyone who speaks up against her. From where I stand, Blake knows she won't find anything damaging. She's just trying to punish those who dared to question her. It's been surprising to see how confident Blake Lively has become with every ruling that seems to go in her favor. It feels like the more support she gets from the judge, the more power she thinks she has to issue subpoenas to anyone she wants. What really stood out to me was how Stephanie Jones had all of my personal and business details, my name, my company's name, and both of our addresses. She even sent me and my lawyer a cease and desist letter. However, Blake herself never asked me directly for documents. That makes me wonder, what exactly is she trying to find through these subpoenas? Let's say she gets access to my account. Details from Google. What is she hoping to discover? Is she trying to look into every transaction linked to my YouTube channel? Would she then try to subpoena the bank accounts of every person who has ever sent a super chat to me? Or maybe she's planning to request my personal bank records. The problem with that is, when I pay Google, it's only for my YouTube Premium subscription. You can't secretly pay to promote someone else's video on YouTube. Unless you're logged into their account, nobody has access to mine except me. I've never paid to advertise or boost my videos. All the views I receive come naturally from people watching my content. It's no behind-the-scenes money being spent to raise views. So even if Blake manages to look into my AdSense account, it won't show anything suspicious. No one is paying me to make content about her. And more importantly, creators can't be secretly paid through YouTube without their knowledge or involvement. I control my own AdSense, and no one else touches it. Then I started thinking, could she be trying to figure out who sent me super chats and trace them back to prove I'm being paid by someone with an agenda? But that wouldn't make sense unless she had proof of an agreement or conversation showing I'm being paid to say something specific. Her claim in court is that Brian Friedman is using creators like me to spread messages on his behalf, that he gives us scripts and pays us. But that's not true. Everyone I've spoken to who received a subpoena said they've never been paid. Most of them don't even earn money from their content at all. If there's no connection, no communication, and no payments being made for content creation, how does looking into our bank records help her case? It just feels like this is more about trying to scare people than actually finding real evidence. And this subpoena from Google might only be the first step. She gets access to that information, she might then go after our bank's credit card, records, and more. But what's strange is that she hasn't asked most of us directly for any documents. Only a few creators like Andy Senior, Candace Owens, and Perez have received that kind of request. And even Perez hasn't officially been served yet. Blake recently asked the court for more time. In her statement, she explained that she wants the July 25th deadline for third-party subpoenas to apply only to those already sent. She hopes to continue issuing new subpoenas through September 30th, which is when fact discovery ends. She said she still hasn't gotten enough documents from the people she already subpoenaed and believes more information will come out after some depositions. That, she says, will justify sending even more subpoenas later. So, while she's already sent out more than 60 subpoenas, she still wants to keep going, saying it's necessary to uncover who helped spread negative content about her. She argues that her claims will only become clearer after more evidence is collected. If the court doesn't agree to extend the deadline, she's asking that at least new third-party subpoenas be allowed under special circumstances, as long as she can show a good reason for needing them. Blake Lively has recently made a clear difference between subpoenas that have simply been notified and those that have actually been delivered. She said she plans to ask the court soon for permission to serve subpoenas in a different way to 3 people: Cynthia Barnes Slater, Dervola Meekness, and Perez Hilton, because they haven't been officially served yet. In Perez's case, she tried sending the subpoena to Brian Friedman's law firm, but the lawyers there said they don't represent him. When I asked Perez why, he explained that he didn't want Brian to handle this for him, mostly to avoid paying extra legal fees. He'd rather take care of it on his own, which is allowed now. Blake claims that Perez is mocking her, but to me, that seems like a distraction from the real issue. If you look closely at her arguments, it becomes obvious why she's doing all this. She says the documents Wayfair provided aren't enough. But here's the thing. She's looking for proof that Wayfair paid creators or hired digital teams. to attack her online, and there's just no evidence of that. And of course there isn't, because it didn't happen. What Blake is doing is trying to prove something that doesn't exist. She's telling the court that because Wayfair didn't hand over documents showing they paid people, they must be hiding something. But if no money ever changed hands, there would be no documents to begin with. That's not a cover-up. That's just reality. Since she didn't get the proof she wanted from Wayfair, she's now turning to us, the content creators, in hopes of finding something that still doesn't exist. Her logic seems backwards. If Wayfair had actually paid creators or hired anyone to carry out a so-called retaliation campaign, the company would have had to submit those documents during the discovery phase. But they didn't, because nothing like that happened. Instead of accepting this, she's trying to accuse us of being involved in something we had nothing to do with. The most frustrating part is that Blake seems to have completely shifted her focus. Instead of sticking to her original claims against Jed and Wayfair, she's now targeting content creators who are simply covering the story. She's ignoring that we're allowed to talk about legal cases. It's protected under free speech, just because we're discussing the details of her lawsuit. Or pointing out changes in her statements or weaknesses in her claims doesn't mean we're working against her as part of a secret team. She's even dropped some of her own claims just to avoid handing over private medical records. That shows that her case may not be as strong as she wants it to look. Now, she seems to be trying to pressure or scare creators into staying silent by sending subpoenas and increasing their legal costs. She may also be hoping to find out who's been giving us information or leaking legal filings. In the end, it feels like this is more about punishment and fear than truth. Blake didn't send subpoenas to us at the beginning of her case. But now that things aren't going her way, she's trying to pull us into the fight. It's hard not to think that this is just an attempt to make us second-guess our reporting and force others to back off from talking about her case. This situation feels like a tactic meant to silence people, even if it's not officially considered a slap strategic lawsuit against public participation. It's a similar approach meant to create fear and stop people from speaking out. It seems like Blake is either very determined or just grasping at straws. She may be trying to suggest there's a secret partnership between the media and others. But if that were her real goal, she would have started sending out subpoenas much earlier. It's clear she didn't plan this well, because proving coordination or media influence is nearly impossible after the fact, especially when there's no evidence to support it. Personally, all I've done is report on publicly available court documents. She knows that. She's not expecting to find proof of any wrongdoing. It feels more like a way to intimidate people, to scare us into silence, and to punish those who have said things she doesn't like, just like she's trying to do with Wayfair. What's really upsetting is that she's targeting people who don't even earn money from their channels. Some of these creators are survivors of abuse who are just sharing their thoughts and using their voices. And now they're being dragged into legal drama for no reason. I honestly wish bigger news outlets would shine a light on what's happening. She's using the court system to go after small creators, people who haven't made a single dollar from their videos. She's picking on victims and trying to make them feel powerless, even if she keeps getting court rulings that go her way. The truth is that if there's no proof, there's no case. A jury can't blame someone for something that can't be proven. Evidence either exists or it doesn't. And in this case, it clearly doesn't. It also feels like she could be trying to pressure Wayfair into settling by going after people who support them. It's like she's saying, if you keep fighting me, I'll go after your allies too. That's not fair. It crosses ethical lines and creates an environment where people are afraid to speak out or report on things publicly available. As I promised, I said I would respond legally, and we've now confirmed the subpoena is real. YouTube has made it clear, unless we file a motion to stop it, they might hand over our information. It's still unclear what reason Blake has given that would convince them to release those records. A group of us creators who have been subpoenaed are trying to work together and possibly file one legal response. But finding all 16 people involved is difficult, and we're now facing growing legal costs. If you'd like to support any of us, especially the smaller creators being dragged into this, you can help by sending super chats, using super thanks, or supporting our content however you prefer. We haven't started a GoFundMe yet, and we're not sure if we will. But every bit helps as we try to deal with this situation together. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future updates. Thanks for being here, besties.